Banging on all cylinders. Firing on all cylinders, whatever.
I think both work.
Apparently not. Kyle says banging on all cylinders is not a thing. But he also says no skin off my back is not a thing as well.
Kyle doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I know. He's out of his mind, and I don't care that he got married today. He got his congratulations. Now I can bash him all I want.
I say banging on all cylinders.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Seth.
Still here.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he's been bitten by a Zambo, and I don't know, now he's a Zambo. I didn't really have a follow-up to that. But our fourth co-host, Uatu, is here, but he has sworn only to watch and never interfere.
So today we watched the 5th episode of What If? Zombies, which originally aired September 8th, 2021, directed by Brian Andrews, written by Matthew Chauncey. When the Avengers are infected by a zombie plague, surviving heroes search for a cure. So Andrew, in a sentence or less, what did I think? Okay, so in the beginning, God created... No, so Kirsten and I were talking. She's been listening to a Gilmore Girls podcast, and she was telling me, or we were talking about it, and she was like,
"You guys should watch Gilmore Girls."
She's like, "Full disclosure, this is not a good podcast."
Ours or the Gilmore Girls one?
The Gilmore Girls one.
Oh, good.
Well, don't yet. And then I was asking her, and because we were talking, and I was like, "So how's that compare to what Andrew and I do?" And she's like, "Well, of course I'm biased because I love you and Andrew, and you guys are the best, and you guys make funny crap, and I love listening to you guys talk, and yada yada yada." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And then
this is why I married you.
Build me up, Buttercup. And then, so one of the things she was complaining about this Gilmore Girls podcast is that the guy just every now and then just seemed like it was just like killing time, and he didn't care, and he was just kind of cashing those ad checks. I was like, okay, well, like, what about our show? And she was like, well, I think every now and then you like hate the show, or like not hate the show, but like you can tell you just don't want to be there, and it's like it rubs off on the listener, and it's just kind of like, if they don't want to be there, why do I want to be there? And so I'm trying to not enter in all these and just be like, hey, guess what? Fucking hated it. But at the end of the day, I can't lie to our viewers like they lie to their friends. And it's like, long story short, did you ever read Zombies?
Marvel Zombies?
I assume not, because we're not really in the game of that.
Marvel Zombies?
Yeah.
I read at least the first series when it first came out. I remember Spider-Man didn't shoot webs anymore. He shot out like his own veins and swung by those. And then he screamed because it was so painful.
I mean, this is laughing from the guy who's like, Penis is a really cool character. But I'm no longer 13, so whatever. But I think this episode had a lot of promise that was squandered by the infamous Marvel muck in a different way than usual. But it's just, we'll get to your sentence soon. I mean, the other thing, too, is I think we've spent a lot of these episodes anymore talking about not necessarily the episode, but kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole and what the whole thing is not doing right for us or what we would rather see. And we've talked before, I've made mention of, you watch a movie from the 90s and you're just like, oh yeah, like post-credit things didn't exist. But then Marvel came along, made a post-credit thing. It was big. People love Marvel movies. Now everything's got to have a post-credit sequence. I was reading stuff. I was kind of glancing through things about like Lord of the Rings could not exist or would not exist in the way it was made today, just because Marvel happened. And to be fair, and not to put all the stuff on Marvel, movies have advanced. Cinema has advanced and broadened. Things would be different anyways. But I feel like there's a lot of, all of the stuff I liked in this was immediately undone by a quip, just a complete blowout of tension. Like, I don't know, I guess I just kind of wanted to watch, like, we've talked about this before, where a heist movie but with superheroes. A war movie, but with superheroes. A zombie movie, but with superheroes. And because everything has to quip, because everything has to have a joke, because everything has to have the Marvel muck in it, they all feel so samey. And it's just like, I'm watching a Marvel movie. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's the same exact feeling during all of them. They all have the same beats. They all have the same quips. Everybody's funny. Everybody's just having a good time. We got to watch all the things we loved. Spider-Man's got to make his little video thing. It's just the same movie. And it's not because they're the same characters. It's because I assume that's what works. And it's just kind of like, you could have done something really different here and just been like, hey, let's do like a zombie thing. And to be fair, they do. But it's not, let's do zombies with superheroes. But with superheroes, it's let's do zombies in the Marvel movie. Does that make sense?
So in my sentence or less, I didn't like it. Here's my cut. So we're just going to get into the conversation.
I mean, I have things to say, but
I know, and you said them all, and I'm just like, there's not going to be an episode. Once we get to the cut, you're just going to rephrase the sentence. It's going to be like our bit at the beginning before we started the episode, where we're just like, how do we say the same thing with different words? I mean, I didn't like this one. I think there are like individual elements that I think there are ideas in it.
Yes.
That are cool. But I think, like you said, the Marvel crap there is bad. I don't like the jokes. I think almost every joke is bad. I think there's some really bad line delivery. Like when Happy dies, there's like a line with Peter where he's like, oh no, Happy, I can't lose another one.
Yeah.
And it's just like this weird line, and it's just like, because we don't have time for that. We only have time for the quips. We can devote endless, pointless seconds, minutes to stupid banter, but like a genuine, like sincere emotion, we don't have time for that. We got to move on to the next thing. You have time for action, we have time for quips. We don't have time for anything else. Every like interesting moment, like Peter losing Happy, while I don't care about Happy, and I don't really care about Peter in the Marvel universe, like they are characters that have some kind of rapport where Peter would care, especially because in this, they do talk about Peter like dealing with loss, but it is a like 20-second soundbite of him being like, I lost Mr. Stark, and I lost Happy, and I lost Uncle Ben, but I'm not going to really get into it because we don't have time for that. We just need to say enough to establish that I have dealt with loss. And it's,
but like the episode doesn't care, and he says that when what? When Bruce...
I think it's when Hope gets bit.
I thought it was when Bruce... Well, no, because there's the bit when they're talking about Hope, and she's like, how are you always so positive? And he's just like, well, I've lost everybody, and I'm trying to, like, keep my chin up and stuff like that. But I thought there was another bit when I think Bruce gives him the Mind Stone. Peter's like, oh, no, I can't, I lost hope. I can't do all it, like, yada, yada, yada. And it just kind of felt, and maybe this is because of all the quips and stuff, but it just felt forced. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel earned or deserved. It was just kind of like I understand that Peter has lost people, but it just doesn't read well, especially because a second after that, you got Paul Rudd sitting there and be like, well, get a good head on your shoulders there, Pete.
This is also one that is annoying in that while the plot of this episode kind of more or less runs on its own, it's so heavily built around the Marvel universe, and it's really dragged down by it. Like, what causes the zombie thing is hinged on your understanding of other movies. Bruce showing up is hinged on your understanding of other movies. Peter's relationships and everything all kind of requires you to understand. Like, they all function on their own. You can sit down and watch this and just be like, there's a zombie apocalypse, and it tells you everything you need. Like, the plot itself doesn't really matter, but it's like they go to Lake Lehi, which is something from the movies. Even like one of the interesting things that I think What If could do and what a zombie thing can do is, because it is a world event, you can have multiple characters that don't interact with each other. The problem is the Marvel Universe doesn't really have anybody.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
So, like, you get Peter and the one Yahoo from the Ant-Man movie, Happy, Sharon Carter, who, honestly, I continuously forgot was in the episode because she isn't really there, Bucky, Okoye, and then Hulk. But, like, none of them have anything to say to each other. None of them really bring anything. I don't give two shits about the one guy from Ant-Man. It's all just kind of, like, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like no one has like I said, no one has anything to say to each other. Like, everybody is filling a role outside of like Spider-Man, and honestly, it's just because he's Spider-Man and uses his powers occasionally. Like, anybody could have been anybody. Happy could have been anybody.
Their role is literally to just say jokes. I mean,
but it's not even like they have anything. Like, to be fair, the guy from Ant-Man makes like the Baba Yaga jokes and stuff, and like, do they matter? No, but like, it's something that his
him
character
being
would
Russian doesn't mean that Hulk can't make a Baba Yaga. Like,
oh, exactly. I'm not saying
right, and I'm not, but I'm just clarifying that like they're not making character specific jokes. You know, Hulk's not making the science jokes. They're all just making blanket jokes, and it ruins. I mean, we don't need to get into it because we kind of got into it last episode. But as someone who last episode thought that episode hinged on knowing the Marvel Universe, I'll actually be contradictory to you and think this one, for me at least, stands on its own. I think mainly because it is a big world event. It's zombies. I know none of this stuff matters. I think the zombies for me make it feel the most disconnected from anything. Anything is fair game because the world is already gone.
I can see that argument, but it also is like very firmly placed in a specific point in time in the Marvel timeline.
That is fair.
It's also like very hinged on a couple, like it itself, it doesn't matter that the quantum realm is what caused the zombie
or
thing,
where Hulk is coming from.
It's literally just like a line to explain where it came from and to tie it into the movies. But it's also like, I think part of why I'm so stuck on it is it's another thing of the Marvel movies having to so conveniently fit everything. Like, it couldn't just be like, there's a fucking zombie. Doctor Strange did a spell at some point that accidentally raised the dead, and then it bit him. And then everything went haywire from there. It has to be the quantum realm. In the quantum realm, there's a quantum thing, and it's all tied into, everything fits into something else. And it's just like the Lake Lehi thing. And I also feel like, granted, part of What If is that, like, you just take these characters and run with them. And it is built on the whole concept of a what if show, regardless of whether it's Marvel or not, even Star Wars What If or fucking X-Files What If. It is hinged on your understanding of the characters so that you can know what's different. Like,
yeah, you have to.
So that's true. But I also think like this requires you to know Vision and Scarlet Witch and Black Panther and Spider-Man. While they don't really do much, like it's very heavily believing you know and care who these people are. Which I think is unfair to point at a what if show and say, like, that's a problem. But I also feel like that's just another, in and of itself, it's fine. But it's another fucking brick in the MCU crap tower.
Well, so the problem that I have with it is, like I kind of mentioned, yes, what if shows, you need that shorthand of just like, these are characters you know. We don't need to explain them because you know them. This is a what if scenario for an IP, whatever. The problem is that everyone has become the same character. Like, again, they're only there to deliver jokes, so what made Hulk different than Ant-Man? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, to be fair, in that specific example, I don't think Bruce really makes many jokes. Ant-Man is he is there for nothing but quips. He does absolutely nothing but make jokes. I don't think he has a single line outside of saying Hope's name that is not a joke.
But I think at the beginning, when he's kind of fish out of water, Bruce, and I mean, honestly, Bruce is kind of someone who is just usually always trying to understand the situation. But I just feel like no one is really that different. I mean, you even mentioned, we got all these characters together, but what do they bring to the table? And the answer is really nothing. Anybody could have been anybody.
The only differences of characters is power sets. And in this, Peter is the only one with a power set. Like,
I mean,
Bucky
Hope
has
grows
his
big.
arm.
Like,
oh, that's true. I forgot about Hope. I'll give you that. I honestly forgot about her. I don't know why.
I don't think, and this is a weird thing to say because it's a double-edged sword, but like, I think it's a cool idea for Hope to grow big and like step over the big zombie horde. Whatever. And like, you're right, nobody else could have done that, except for I guess Paul Rudd. And he wasn't there at the time. But you could have come up, Spider-Man could have swung across. Hulk could have hulked out and jumped across. She wasn't integral to that spot. Even her being like, I need to do this to atone for my sins because I decided to go to the quantum realm. Fuck that noise. Don't even mention it. Just say there's zombies. This is a zombie world. Whatever. I don't care. Like, I don't need to know how the zombies came. You can do that because you're a hero and you're doing a heroic thing. It also doesn't help that in that instance, Hope growing big. I don't feel they try and make it a thing where it's like it's her sacrifice for the group. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. She was wearing her uniform before. It seemed like that was going to keep people. Like, Peter makes the video about like wear long sleeves because it's the saliva, and she's covered head to toe. She has a helmet on. So like, why is that like a big thing where they're like, no, don't do this? Like, this seems like a totally legitimate way to get across the zombie horde.
Well, but she had already been scratched by that point.
I get that, but like, they act like
I have no fucking idea, but I don't know. It's
just something
because
that
it wants
feels
its stupid
bad.
like little moment. You know what the worst? because we're drifting off topic, and I wanted to say this while we were thinking about it. You were saying how everybody sounds the same. Everybody has to make a joke. You know who the worst offender is in this episode?
All of them.
No, there's one.
It really could be anybody. I'm not going to guess. Because I'll just go down the list.
It's the fucking Watcher. When he's at the beginning explaining how the zombie thing happens, and Janet jumps on Hank, he goes, "Ugh, that happened." And I was like, fuck you. Don't make little, like, pithy asides. Stop doing the bullshit. Just, like, you were here to just, like, stare into the universe and explain blandly what's going on.
So I don't know if this is because, like, hey, he's starting to like, what if, you know, he doesn't just watch. I don't know if this is just a gradual, like, if they think they're being cool by gradually making the Watcher be more of a presence. But we were saying that, like, in the first episode, well, I guess we didn't notice it, but in one of the early episodes, I remember commenting that just seeing the Watcher in the background is a neat visual. And in this one, you see him in the background, but he's, like, talking and his mouth is moving. And it just feels so gross. I mean, gross isn't the right word, but, like, I agree with you that he's just talking so much. And it's like, just intro the episode, outro the episode. That's it. That's your role in What If. And again, I don't know if this is just because, like, I know where the show's going now and, you know, oh, I'm going to start interfering and I'm going to start talking during all this crap. And it's like, ugh, I hate it.
And I don't know. And I didn't like this episode. I also felt like stupid nitpick shit. I don't understand the zombies. They're like mindless zombies, but then they're also like fully capable of, like,
Hawkeye can shoot an arrow at his regular ability.
Doctor Strange can use his spells, and Wong, and, you know, Tony Stark can
use his blasters, his
blasters. They can use their powers together because they introduce him by having Doctor Strange open a portal so that
they can all jump in and like fight
shoot
together.
His blast and
I was trying to figure that out too, and I was like, okay, are they?
And how did Tony get bit? He was wearing the full suit of armor. How, at any point, did a zombie get in there?
Well, okay, so you know in all the movies how they have to reveal their face so that you know who's talking and you can have the actor there? There you go.
Exactly. The Marvel Muck ruined the zombie universe.
Yeah, the Marvel Muck was the villain all along. It wasn't Hope died for nothing because it wasn't the Quantum Realm. It was Marvel Studios.
Peter wears his mask at the beginning and then never puts it back on again.
And he's the guy who's like, make
also,
sure
Peter's like 6 feet tall in this.
I hate everything.
He is so tall.
I actually didn't think Tom Holland doesn't do the voice, right?
No.
I didn't think so. He doesn't sound right, and he doesn't look right.
I think he sounds okay, but he looks like your average Peter Parker, not Tom Holland Peter Parker. And I don't know if that is a choice or if that is a rights thing. Like, maybe they're not allowed to use his likeness.
It's just not.
I mean, they're
good.
aping his voice. I think it sounds enough like him to be clear that they are trying to emulate it. I agree that it doesn't sound right, but I think it sounds close enough.
I think the visual is just like, this is what
the visual's wrong.
Yeah, but I think it was
I don't think it looks like
we're doing.
I think it looks like the average Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Like, when you open a comic book, that's what Peter looks like when he's 26.
Yeah.
Not when he's a 15-year-old kid. I mean, he's taller than Hope. He's taller than almost everybody, I think, except for the Baba Yaga guy.
So, I didn't even know who he was. You mentioned the guy from Ant-Man, and I was like, okay, good, because I got nothing. This is just a dude. This is like fucking Matthew Chauncey for all I know. But I agree that the zombies are loose. I have a lot of nitpick crap. I mentioned the thing with, like, Hope, where, why would everyone be like, Hope, don't do it? Like, there was a danger. I agree that the zombies, I kept trying to figure out, like, okay, so their ability is that of when they were living. So because, like, Steve acts like Steve. And he uses the shield, and Hawkeye shoots arrows and stuff like that, and Happy uses his little repulsor glove. But, like, then when the show needs him to be, they all just are stupid. And maybe that's commentary on just people. And then Scarlet Witch is like...
That's what it is. It is commentary.
I mean, the show is so smart. You just don't understand. And then, like, Scarlet Witch is a thing, and she's like her own version of a zombie, and she's like too powerful. And I understand it's to do, I mean, for lack of a better term, parodies, because all they do is make jokes. But, like, for me, all of the interesting bits are the horror motifs. I think Scarlet Witch is like a crazy horror witch like you see in, like, Prey or Left 4 Dead or whatever. Sure, interesting idea. I'll take it. The fact is that 90% of the meat around it is total jokes, and it completely undoes anything interesting there. Same thing with, like, Hope growing big and walking over the horse. Like, these are the moments that I felt like it was a zombie story with superheroes. But they last for 2 seconds. And there's just so much missed opportunity. And I assume you don't remember, because the only thing you remember from Marvel Zombies is Spider-Man shooting his veins and screaming.
I think Black Panther was also being used as food, and they chopped off his leg to feed a zombie.
That's the other thing. Paul Bettany kidnaps Chala and is like feeding her, and then she comes out and he's like, she hasn't eaten for 3 days. And it's like, that's on you, dude. You're the one who kidnaps people and feeds them to her.
Paul Bettany, I don't understand. I don't understand the vision. I don't understand his okay, part of it is like, I think you could make some of these things work in an actual like feature length story. I mean, part of it I think is it's truncated into 30 minutes because they meet Vision and they're like, we're in the safe spot and we're doing The Walking Dead where we go somewhere safe, but it's not safe. And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, we got Scarlet Witch in the back. And then Vision is just like, oh, I tricked you all. I'm going to raise into the air all menacing like. And then immediately they're like, hey, help us. And he's like, yeah, I think I will. Shoot my laser beam. Bazoo!
Gotta atone.
And then he's like, I'm going to pull out my gem, which granted, I guess he wasn't destroying it. He was pulling it out. But I was thinking like, remember there was like a whole point in the Infinity War movie that only Scarlet Witch could destroy that gem. And I guess he was just pulling it out. But I guess,
I mean, he was just ripping it out. But like, again, so he's like, I got to atone for my sins. Okay, but just like, you can do that later. Come with us. You being here and being completely immune to the whole zombie plague is more helpful than your just dead body sitting there. Like, why? What's he atoning for?
It's stupid.
All he does is make it so they, like, can't leave easily because the Mind Stone deactivates, Scarlet Witch goes crazy, which then Hulk is just like, or no, I don't know, somebody does. Is it Winter Soldier who goes up to her or goes up to
and
Vision?
He just, like, starts shooting at her.
And it's just like, listen, buddy, you could have got on the hover jet and left. She would have just sat there and wept at Vision.
She completely ignores him.
And then he goes up to her and just shoots her. It's so dumb. Everybody makes stupid decisions, and I get it. Like, it's a zombie thing. Everybody makes stupid decisions. But it's just like, I don't understand any of the motivations for anybody.
Like I said, there's like bits and pieces. I could see a better story.
If it wasn't, and I guess this is what I was going off. I assume Marvel Zombies is not written for jokes.
The original series?
Yeah.
It's like a black comedy. It's, if I remember correctly, it's more of like the concept itself is funny. The story is not. Like, it's not a constant like quip machine. It's mostly just like, it's funny because all of this is weird and stupid. Spider-Man shoots his veins out.
It's like it's like a crazy thing.
But it's not like a joke series. I mean, I know later series have like Howard the Duck and Machine Man and all that.
But this is a comedy. This is a zombie comedy.
Yeah, this is like a stupid comedy.
And it's bad. And I guess I just would have rather, and maybe it's because it would have been different, because Marvel is all just a quip machine anymore. But I was hoping so much, and I think it started off fairly decent, where it felt like a horror movie, but I would have rather it just stuck to that. You know, you can have a quip here and there, but like, just do a zombie show.
I think the idea of like superhero zombies is interesting. Like I said, in a universe that isn't so like small and boring as the Marvel universe, you could have more characters interact that have never interacted. You could have, like in the original Marvel Zombie series, if I remember correctly, the zombies are actually like the stars of the book. And it's like, they're all kind of mindless and hungry until they eat. And then they're like, they regain some like clarity and they're like remorseful for what they did, but then they get hungry again. And then they just like start feasting and like they can still use their powers. And like, I think there's something interesting in having like basically just like a far more threatening and dangerous version of somebody already very powerful. Like, I think the idea of like Scarlet Witch zombie is very interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just, it doesn't really do anything with her. She's just kind of there to be the threat that triggers them needing to get onto the jet and fly away.
Right. And the Walking Dead bit where it's like, oh, we're safe. Oh, nope, we're not. But it just doesn't... I mean, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of promise in a concept like this. Again, probably because, I mean, honestly, I don't know many superhero zombie things. You can only do so much with zombies. Like, yeah, I don't mind zombies and things like that, but like, seeing hope grow big is an interesting way, rather than like, how are we going to deal with this horde? Let's smear zombies all, like, zombie guts all over us, and then they won't smell. Let's just drive the car through. Like, it's something different. But they just don't commit to it. They commit to the Marvel quip machine, and it kills it.
I mean, it does. Like, What If had the chance to be one of the most interesting things Marvel made, and so far, this was episode 4?
5.
Or 5, I can't even, like, that's how, like, nothing it is. I can't even remember.
Interesting costs too much money.
I don't even think, like, yes, but I think it's not the price of admission, it's the risk of payout. Like, it's not more costly for them to produce something.
Oh, no, it costs more because
it's the fact that it's just like this might alienate people. But if we continue to make the same, like we say every fucking episode, if they continue to make the same fucking thing, it's pretty much guaranteed money until everybody is like us, where we're all just sick.
Which it's already been 10 years and it's still going strong. So I mean, we're the minority.
And I mean, like I said, each thing gets a little more towards something that I want. But I mean,
it's
the
one
Marvel
step forward, 2 steps
muck
back.
is pervasive. I don't even know if it's like one step forward. It's just like it's one step forward,
1 step up, 2 steps back.
I mean, it's one step forward and then stop and take a break.
I think it's very similar to kind of what we were saying, I think last episode about like Stranger Things, another anthology series where it's just kind of like, you know, everybody comes out and they say, here's our show idea. And then the first season does gangbusters and it's like, oh, well, we know this will make money. Let's just keep doing this. And it's like, we don't need to keep doing this. You wrote the story. You had the story. And yeah, maybe there's a story there, but like, I don't know, just do different things. I mean, why not make this a zombie show? Who are they gonna, like, are you really that worried that there's not enough quips?
I mean, here's the thing. So this is on the Disney Plus day, and I have not, like, looked into everything that was announced.
I saw a couple headlines and stuff like that.
But I believe a Disney Zombies, or a Marvel Zombies show was announced.
But, like, what is it gonna do that this already didn't do?
Oh, it's just going to be more of this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a continuation of this, which is just, I don't know, it's boring. Like,
which is just
what?
Thing, like people sitting there for 30 minutes and then going, I know that hero.
I mean, it's like the Agatha Harkness. Oh, we got a What If 2 announced, X-Men 97,
She-Hulk
Iron Groot,
stuff.
Ironheart, She-Hulk.
Spider-Man prequel.
But like Agatha House of Harkness is like they're making a spin-off of WandaVision. It's like, why? And the answer is because it's going to make money. People loved Agatha. They love the Agatha All Along song. Like, of course they're going to make it. But it's also just like, what is there? Like,
what's it doing? What's it bringing?
What's she going to do? Like, is it going to undo the effects of WandaVision? Is she going to spiral through different shows?
I like how you say undo the effects of WandaVision, like WandaVision did something.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of WandaVision, she's...
It's a reveal, yeah.
Nullified, and then it's just going to be like, she wakes up one day and she's like, oh, I'm here, and now I'm going to make my own sitcom world. Maybe it won't be a sitcom show, but if it's not,
it's not going to be a
that's
sitcom
the closest
show
thing.
Everyone hated the sitcom stuff.
But like the sitcom thing is like the closest thing it did to something interesting. In fact, it was the interesting thing. Yep. I like the sitcom stuff.
We're the only two.
If you're going to make an Agatha show, that's what you do. But that's not what it's going to be. If it is, it's going to be like bits in the show, not the show itself. And it's just
that's hard because the sitcoms were so much of the show's identity. But I also think that we're in the minority of that was the parts that we liked because that was not Marvel stuff.
I think people liked it. I just don't think people liked it enough for it to be the show.
I've listened to a lot of people talk about how that was the stuff they didn't like because it was boring.
Oh, really?
And it's not
I knew
Marvel
that my
stuff.
one coworker hated it. Like, I'm interested in She-Hulk.
I don't know. All these are the same thing.
I'm interested in the fact that Moon Knight is getting a show, but I'm sure it's going to be the same. Just
I mean, that's what they're all going to be. Like, I'm interested in She-Hulk just because She-Hulk's a character that I wish I've read more of, and I like the idea of, and I always wanted to read Dan Slott's run on her. And so sitting there and being like, I mean, I'm kind of the thing I hate, where I'm like, hey, that's a thing I know, She-Hulk. That interests me, like a legal drama with superheroes. But it's not. It's going to be a Marvel show.
In fact, I guarantee, like, because of what all these are, like, I guarantee that the legal drama stuff isn't going to be very much of the show, which could be wrong. Like, I would say Daredevil had a lot of legal stuff in it, but I don't think that was the focus of the show. It was just like he would go to court and there'd be a lot of scenes in court, but none of that mattered.
I didn't watch Daredevil, but I think Daredevil was also before the quip happened.
I mean, it was like post-Avengers.
But I mean, I feel like all those Netflix shows that honestly I didn't watch, so I can be way out of left field here, but I feel like all the Avengers shows were kind of different, which is why everybody kind of disowns them. I mean, they're not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anyways, but so maybe that's why. But I guess I was always under the impression that...
Well, I mean, they were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then they're now like in a, maybe they are, maybe they aren't sort of
I
thing.
was under the impression, and from the stuff I've read, I thought that they are deliberately not. Whether or not they
might
always
not be
were, but
now. They were before, and now they might not be.
I do not believe they are.
I don't think they are, but I think also it's something like there's a lot of rumors that what's-his-face might be returning as Charlie Cox might be returning as Daredevil for the Spider-Man movie.
But that doesn't matter.
Multiverse thing where it could just be like, this is like an alternate universe that's so close to ours.
But see, it doesn't matter if they get
Daredevil's here.
It only matters if Daredevil is like, you can bring back an actor, whatever.
No. What he's supposed to apparently be coming back as Daredevil. Oh, but he could just be like a new version
Yeah.
of Daredevil that isn't a show version.
Yeah.
Maybe. But also that movie is so definitively about alternate universes where
Right.
it could just be like, this is the Netflix universe. It's very close to the Marvel universe.
But I mean,
But then-
same thing with Quicksilver. I mean, that was a more deliberate break, but
That's true. That's true.
like, I mean, you can bring back, who cares? It only matters if they, and I mean, like you said, it's a multiverse thing, so you can kind of get away with that a little bit more and have fun with it. But
Okay, there's X-Men 97, which is under the Marvel Studios banner, which might not mean anything. I just find that significant just because it's like the first X-Men thing that I think is actually like Marvel Studios as opposed to like Fox or whatever. But that could just be like, that is a continuation of the TV show, so it's not part of the larger Marvel universes. But then again, now with Loki and everything, like, who knows?
yeah, you can make anything.
But there's an Echo show, which I know is spinning out of Hawkeye because she's in that. Agatha House of Harkness, Marvel Zombies, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, What If Season 2, I Am Groot, which I don't give two shits about, Ironheart, and Secret Invasion.
All of this stuff is just like, it all depends. You know, you were talking about the 97 or the X-Men animated, you know, it's not in the MCU because it's a direct continuation. But like, I guess I don't care. I care about the MCU because, yeah, that's where everything is now. But I mean, even if it's not in the MCU, the production and direction and writing of it doesn't have to be in the MCU to feel just like another aspect of the MCU. They just don't reference Thanos.
I mean, I think the X-Men 97 thing specifically, it's supposed to be a continuation of the original show, and I feel like it's just going to be fan service, which I don't care for that kind of stuff. Whenever something that was long since canceled comes back, it always just feels written for the fans in a way that just feels fake. It doesn't feel like its own thing anymore. It feels like the Marvel Universe does. It feels like it exists for fan service.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's not
like,
there to be anything.
I don't care if X-Men is not in the Marvel universe. If it just sounds like it's in the Marvel universe, you know, if it has the same voice, like if they're just going to quip every 20 seconds and it's going to feel like the exact same stuff I'm getting here. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched X-Men in forever. So maybe if I went back and watched it, I'd say, yeah, this all sucks. But I mean, I don't know. It's just like I said at the top of the show. Marvel Zombies is the most disconnected thing I think you could do, and it just feels so samey. And that's a big problem for me. I mean, you sit here for 35 episodes, and it's just like, they're so samey. I don't know, like, what am I supposed to get out of these? Just like, hey, this character I know said a thing that was funny. I love that. Yeah, it's just like, what am I getting out of this?
I don't know.
I don't think the bit at the end where like Thanos comes back and he's a zombie and then the Watcher's just like, yeah, the world sucks. Is that interesting?
I don't either. Like, I don't know. I just, like, again, if Marvel Zombies is becoming a show, what do? They've already killed
Everybody.
Well, everybody. But I mean, like, Zombie Captain America is dead.
Tony Stark.
Hawkeye, I think, died. Falcon is dead. Like, most of the characters are, like, done and dealt with in this. And, like, that's fine. Like, I guess you could do, like, Shang-Chi and everybody. But that's, like, again, the Marvel Universe is, like, so small. It's just like, what do? You follow Peter Parker and the Paul Rudd head, and he just keeps making stupid jokes.
Doesn't matter. Anybody that gets is going to make stupid jokes.
I know, but he made so many. His thing was, like, everybody makes stupid jokes, and that's just, like, part of the universe to the point that I can tune it out. But he makes stupid jokes, and everyone's like, oh, Paul Rudd, stop making stupid jokes. And he's like, oh, I made another dumb joke. Haha, zombie pun. And I'm just like, it's worse. I can tune out the stupid jokes of the Marvel Universe. It's just how everybody talks. It's like listening to a fucking dialect. Like, I just don't hear it. Every time we get in, you're like, everyone has to make a stupid quip. And I get it. It's annoying. And I know that it bothers you. But every time you do that, I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, I don't hear it. It doesn't register to me anymore. Unless the joke itself is specifically bad, I don't care. But Paul Rudd in this, I was just like, shut the fuck up. Just shut him up. He's so annoying.
See, and that's the problem, is that, like...
And everyone's like, oh, he keeps making jokes. And it's like, you're all doing it.
Yeah, like...
But you're calling out him.
It's one thing if Paul Rudd's character is like, I'm the funny guy. But everybody's the funny guy.
He's the funniest guy.
Like, it's just like... I agree. I mean, I don't know. Why... I mean, I know it's because it makes money, but why make the same thing over and over? Why?
Because it makes money. Because it's a business.
Yeah.
It's the entertainment business. And the entertainment...
I mean, hey,
second.
comics... That's the big criticism on comics, is that every 10 years you read the same stories. But
that's every 10 years. This is like every fucking movie.
This is every year.
You get like 5 movies a year and 6 TV shows, and they're all the fucking same.
And I mean, like we said the other episode, I mean, there's enough comics coming out a month. There's enough books that someone's going to have a unique voice. And you don't have to, I mean, not that I have to watch them all. I do for the show, but, yeah, you can just choose to not watch all of these. But you do. And you don't have to do that with comics. And so you don't have to read Spider-Man and listen to Dan Slott make him quip and then listen.
It's weird, and I don't know why. In comics, you go, you don't have to read all the events. And that's true. But I also, do skip the events, and then I just read other books, and they constantly reference things. And I will say, there's something that I love about comics. When I just, read something, it is so clearly part of that time period. I was reading Grayson, and there's several issues that are just dealing with the time that Superman's powers were depowered, his identity was public, he cut his hair, and he ran around in a t-shirt and jeans. Mm-hmm. And it's just everyone just treats it as this is Superman now, and he just shows up. And the same thing, there's issues with Batman when Jim Gordon was Batman and he wore a bat robot exoskeleton that looked like a rabbit.
But again, you read that once a month.
Stupid. But you read that, and I just that always tickles me. But it's something you read that stuff, and you're just I don't know what the fuck is going on, but whatever. I'm just kind of rolling with it. And there's something about that where I can just kind of go with it.
It takes 5-10 minutes. You read it once a month, and then in 2 months.
In these, it feels like it's pointing at me if I don't know. If I didn't watch the other movies, it's poo-poo on you. It's not just you don't get this. It's just this is no longer for you anymore. You need to watch the whole thing, or else some piece isn't going to make sense, or something is going to...
That's because in comics, the editor sits down and says... Or the editor-in-chief sits down and says, hey, I know you don't care, Mr. Grant Morrison, who's writing Batman, but we're doing this big thing, so you got to do something about it. Everything, the world, we got to show we have a consistent world. You got to write a panel that references this. And then Grant Morrison sits down and he writes a stupid panel, and he moves on to his story. Whereas in this...
to be fair, Grant Morrison sits down and they write their stupid panel.
Fair enough. With the MCU, you have the executive producer who sits down and says, this is where everything goes. This is more curated. And so everything does point at everything because it's curated to. In comics, like you were saying, reading Grayson, Superman's just running around in a t-shirt and jeans, whatever. They're still writing the Grayson story. That team doesn't necessarily care too much. They're probably...
What Superman's doing.
Yeah, they're probably just kind of... Their hands are a little tied. They got to make something to tie it in to make it feel like a bigger world so that everybody who's reading, so that they can advertise it as a tie-in where Superman shows up for one panel and Grayson says, why are you wearing a shirt, Superman? But then it moves on with its day.
Dick Grayson, known country boy.
Well, gee whiz!
I'm going to be Nightwing all day. Yeah,
we're the Flying Graysons. This is Boss Grayson. We're gonna jump over this alligator pit. Yeehaw! But I mean, that's the difference.
I mean, you're right. It is. These are so heavily curated, and it's also part of it. I think is in comics. They know, there are fans that are going to pick up everything, and they want you to pick up as much as they can, but they know that there are people that are not going to read everything. Mm-hmm. So it's not made to make sure that you read everything. But in these, when it's, a movie coming out every couple months, it's not impossible for someone to just be I'm going to see every Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. And you go and you pay your $10 to go to the theater and watch that movie, and then you don't watch one for the next 3 months until the next one shows up, and then you pay another $10. The next on 3-month increments, you pay your $10 and you go see the movie. Same thing with when these shows come out. You sit down and you watch one episode a week whenever they're airing, and you move on with your life, and you watch. It's easier to consume everything, and so therefore it's easier to make sure that everything has to be consumed.
Yes, because you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be left out. You don't want to I don't know. That's just like we said when the Green Knight came out, and they said the oldest cinematic universe, narrative universe, and it's just not everything needs to be a narrative universe. Just write stories, write good stories, but they make money. Why write one movie when you can write 30?
Why make $1 billion when you can make $1 trillion?
Yeah. Why do anything different? People will watch it. You're so lodged into the zeitgeist and the public eye that I was saying before that, you'll see Julia Louis-Dreyfus comes in and gets a role. And, I guess I don't. Maybe it's not. It's a paycheck. But at the end of the day, just like with Star Wars movies, you see everybody, Sam Jackson in Star Wars movies, if I remember right, is just yeah, I'm in fucking Star Wars. And it's you're the most boring character ever. And he's yeah, but I was in Star Wars. That's cool. And I assume that's the same thing for the Marvel movies, where it's just I'm in cinema's biggest thing that has ever existed. Yeah, if I was in movies, I'd be yeah, put me in a fucking Marvel movie. I don't care if I'm just Joe Schmo. I'm in a Marvel movie. I made it. You know what I mean? So I know why people want to be in them, but it all just feels so corporate. And I mean, again, Disney is in the business of making money, not making movies, but it's nice when they overlap. It's nice when I can watch a movie that doesn't feel like it was just made to siphon money out of people.
All right, Seth, give me your 2 put-ups and a put-down.
My first put-up is going to be at the very beginning when the zombies first show up. And it's kind of like a horror movie thing, and it's very foggy and stuff, and you don't really know what's going on, and Hulk's like...
No, foggy's later.
Oh, you're just like the movies I hate! And then... and then...
That was good. That was great.
People got to get to the end of our episode for that gold.
I like how you also did that as if that's not exactly the sort of bullshit you pull on me.
Yeah, I know. But I can react to it if I don't pull it up. But I like how anyway. Bruce is sitting there, he's like, whoa, you guys are going a little overboard. And then they're like, oh, they're zombies. My second put up is going to be, I am going to say the subway scene with a honorable mention to Yellow Jacket growing big. I think one, that's a cool visual. Negative one, I think it's a stupid... Everyone has stupid motivations during it. It doesn't really make sense. All that jazz. But it's a neat visual for like zombies with superhero things in it. But I will give the put up to the subway scene where Peggy...
You mean Sharon?
Fuck, yeah. Sharon is in the train car, something. We know later it's Steve, bursts through the top. They go in the tunnel. It's dark. She doesn't... he's just kind of silhouetted. These are good horror motifs. And then... she's like, Steve, looks like you've been eating the brains. And then Steve's like, I got a shield and I'm gonna throw it. And then Bucky's like, I don't fucking look right because my face wasn't animated correctly. And it just totally derails it. Bang! Pun! That's why you watch our shows, because we got the good jokes. Not like Marvel. My put down is going to be, we didn't talk about it. I mentioned it briefly, but I absolutely hated Peter's orientation video. Absolutely hated every single second of it.
So I'm just going to do my put down first. I also hated the orientation video, every second of it. It's completely obnoxious. I don't understand why anyone's filming it. I don't know who the fuck he's showing it to. I don't know why. I could understand Peter being like, I want to film this zombie thing, but everyone else being like, yeah, I'll play along with your stupid bullshit. Especially, you know, the worst part of it is, it's when they're talking about how you want to wash off any stink on you, and they apparently have a shower in the middle of a room with a curtain all around it, and Bucky is taking a legitimate shower because he's Bucky-ass naked.
Maybe Bucky just wanted to commit to his role.
It's stupid. I hated this video. I fucking despised it.
I get the point where everyone's like, Peter, how are you so positive all the time? But this seems out of character for Peter. I agree. I can see him wanting to film the zombie thing, but Pete also, with great power comes great responsibility. Pete's whole shtick is responsibility and knowing the levity of not the levity, but knowing when something is not a joke. I don't know. You're the resident Spider-Man guy. He makes quips. I get it. But he also I don't know, this seems bigger than that right now. And to sit there and just be like, hey, guess what's up? Zombies!
Well, that's because this isn't a zombie movie. This is a zombie comedy. This is the sort of thing that you would see in...
Zombie sex trip.
Well, in Zombieland. There's a whole thing where he's these are the rules of zombie killing. Mm-hmm. And then it basically, it's not an in-universe video he's making. It's
I guess
the
you're
meta
fair,
video
yeah.
That's
just a zombie.
But that's what this is.
It's a Zombieland parody.
And I don't know. Also, minor put down to, they have, their base is all webbed up in between two buildings. And I thought, that's a fun use of Peter's powers. And I was like, what's that keeping them? I know there's zombies on the ground, but they also seem to, not pay them any mind. And Iron Man and Falcon are definitely still around.
Yeah.
They could both easily fly up there and get to them. And that's, really dangerous because then they could just, cut at the webs because they seem to be pretty cognizant, and then they would just fall and die.
Zombie sex trip. Spider-Man webs up their base in the middle of skyscrapers. But when we first see it, wide shot. Zoom in, Falcon, Tony Stark, stuck on the webs, flailing around.
Pretty funny.
Pretty funny, sis.
So my first put up is going to be, I like Zombie Scarlet Witch. I think she's a fun visual. I think she's, out of everybody, she's the most interesting one to turn into a zombie and has creepy powers. In the end, she just uses them to fly and blast things. It'd be cool if she was doing more of her like
Psycho
monster
crap.
shtick from the
Yeah,
for-
she has like those
first
actual
appearance.
powers. Do like the psychological stuff. That'd be too scary.
My second put up is going to be, I'll go with you and say the opening's fine. When the zombies show up and attack, it's fine. I have like a weird rational annoyance for stuff like this that like hides the reveal when everybody already knows what the reveal is. The episode's title is called What If Zombies?
Yeah, I can see that.
And I get that
think
there's
that's
like
fair.
a way that you could sit down and watch it without knowing that. But since you're
With the
queuing it up on
binge.
Disney Plus, it's like kind of there, like you'll see it. And like this is a very like minor and nitpicky thing, but I kind of hate any time that there is like a reveal to something that the audience already knows. Like the same thing of like going into a movie, and it's weird because I said like I liked in The Incredible Hulk when he was like obscured in shadows, but you're going to see the Hulk. You know what the Hulk looks like. Hiding him is kind of like stupid, but for whatever reason, that works for me. But every once in a while, like it's just something where it's like a little annoying, and I know that it's because it's the reveal for him for
And that's what works for me is that it is the
Hulk.
reveal for Bruce.
But it's just like so weird, and I feel like it takes a little long. Like they are very clearly like not right, and I think part of it is like very clearly obscuring their faces when instead it could have just done like close shots of like, you know, when it starts, like the Doctor Strange portal opens and then Iron Man sticks his hand out and then shoots a blast, and they could have done that for a little bit
And then immediately
kept them off
revealed.
camera,
Yeah.
but instead it was just like kind of shows them and they're like obscured in fog, and it was just something like, I don't know why that stuff always annoys me, and I know it's a nitpick on me. That is me being unfair to it,
Mhm.
but I don't like that stuff. It always bothers me.
That's fine for me. I want to jump in here. Are you done with your two?
Yeah, those are my two put-ups. And I already did my
I'll put
down.
this here just because there's not really another place for it. It can really go wherever. But this is true for all the episodes so far. But I kind of noticed it in this one, I think because of the fog and whatnot. I don't know. This one, I think because it was a zombie thing, there was kind of maybe less bloom since it was a little dirtier. But anyways.
There was a lot of bloom at the end.
Yeah.
It was annoying. To the point that, like, when Bruce is running away and a zombie, like, bites him, his arm does kind of, like, grow and turn green. But I think because of the bloom and the lighting and everything, I think it would be possible for someone to not notice that.
I
and
was
then be
wondering,
why
like, is
would
this
we not-
just a lighting thing or is this a Hulk thing? But either way, for as much as I have kind of dug on the animation, I think the backgrounds are phenomenal all throughout. And I like watching the credits because they go through all the background paintings. I don't know where else to put this, and this was an episode where I kind of realized it a bit more at the beginning with all the fog stuff. But I do think all the backgrounds are very, very nice. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher. Boop.
Seth,
Andrew.
what are we watching?
I don't even do that for the listeners. I do that for you.
And I appreciate it.
Andrew, we're going to be watching What If Episode 6. What If Episode 6? That's it. What if we made 6 episodes? We're not gonna make. Anyways, Killmonger makes Tony Stark a man. He rescues him from his drugs.
Touching off all
All those volumetric curves. I'm just touching off some volumetric curves here, Kyle.